A very, very happy new year to all the Fulham fans watching. Welcome to the Jack and Joe Show. Joe Sanson, the first Jack and Joe Show of 2024 or 2024. And we ended 2023 on the highest of highs with a win against Arsenal. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Reiterating Happy New Year, Jack, to you, to your family, to everyone watching. And what a Happy New Year it was, thanks to Fulham. I obviously wasn't on the show last week, but put it this way, I would have been predicting a positive scoreline going into that game purely because of what we'd seen in the previous 3 league games. Jack, I think this was our best performance of the season by a country mile. And surpassing even the 5-0 wins just due to the quality of the opposition. And it was a fantastic day.
It was amazing, wasn't it? It didn't start brilliantly. In fact, I got very, very annoyed after 5 minutes, as all Fulham fans would, conceding a very soft goal, softish goal to Bukayo Saka. I just sort of just turned around to everyone and just went, why are we so fucking soft against these teams?
Yeah.
Roll over and get our tummies tickled is a phrase that's used in football a lot. But when it comes to the top 6 teams, I just felt Fulham have no underbelly. We got no fight. And then suddenly, it's almost like they heard me and went, you know what, we're going to prove you wrong today. We're going to prove you wrong. And boy, were we all proved wrong. It was brilliant because the way in which we were caught on the break, the way in which Castagna was literally off the field and Bobby had to get back. And I was thinking, God, we're going to get caught out here. It was such a frustrating goal to concede, but the way we responded, Joe, was brilliant. Managed to catch you in the pub beforehand as well. And we had a nice chinwag. We saw the team together and thought, what did you think of the team actually when it came out at 1 o'clock?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, when we saw both teams sort of came out at the same time, obviously. But when I saw the Arsenal one, I immediately got a little bit more confident because no Gabriel Jesus. Personally, seeing Havertz, I know that some Arsenal fans are saying he's been playing better recently, but I'm more scared of Trossard than Havertz for sure, especially after what he did to us at the Cottage last season when he got 3 assists in the first half. Kiwior, haven't been overly impressed with him when I've seen him. I think he's fine, but I'm more scared going forward of Zinchenko. Defensively, I don't particularly rate either of them too highly at left back. And yeah, it was a strange situation because I saw our team and I have been sort of clamoring for a 5 at the back system all week. I've been thinking, Harrison Reed will come in. And when I saw Kearney, I have to admit I was very worried because I just thought that from a defensive standpoint, we don't have enough in this team to withstand them. And 5 minutes in, I've got to admit, I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't feeling happy about it, but I thought I'd been proven absolutely right because I just thought that it shows that one player out of position overloads all over the pitch, and a really, really scrappy goal to concede, like you said, really reminded me of how we defended against them in March when they came to the Cottage and beat us very easily. I thought Kearney was absolutely fantastic, not just going forward, but defensively as well, and proved me completely wrong. The system, it's been said on the podcast, but said by you before, Bobby Reed coming back to make a back 5, almost out of possession. It worked perfectly. Silva showed, huge balls basically to drop Pereira, which is something that he very rarely does. And the way that it worked with Iwobi almost having his roll back on the right-hand side, but also drifting into the middle when Bobby Reed was further back, it worked perfectly. And Jimenez had by far his best game in a Fulham shirt. And without watching every single Wolves game, the last couple of years, I would have to say his best game since that awful injury, which ironically was against Arsenal. To a man, we were fantastic. And I think the best thing about this game, Jack, was that, we're playing a team where man for man, they're better than us. They are. We outplayed Arsenal. It was not a lucky win. We outplayed them. We 100% deserved the victory. A draw would have been a disservice to the performance that the players put in. The chances we created, the chances that we limited them to. I mean, can't remember Leno having to make a notable save other than the Martinelli shot that obviously led to Saka's goal. That was basically the end of his night, his afternoon, I should say. So satisfying and quite incredible that we played Arsenal twice this season and they've taken 1 point off us. I think that's a massive, just a massive win for the club. We don't have a good record against Arsenal. Slightly better at the Emirates. Not that we win there, but we pick up a few points. We had a few years in a row where we drew there. I think 3 years in a row, maybe. Obviously got the draw there in lockdown, and now this season, unlucky there last year as well. But at home, as you said, Jack, since that Zamora last-minute winner, haven't got much against them at all.
No, or a 3-3 draw the season afterwards, with Schwarzer, like you say, making the save. And I just thought, like, the way we responded was incredibly positive. It could have been so easy to sort of go 1-0 down, and it could have just, gone through the motions and just tried to get back in the game. But Arsenal just had that bit too much. But we just went, we're not having this. It was almost like the players were like, we're not going to have this again. We're not going to have a game at the Cottage where a top 6 team comes, scores early, and bullies us the whole game. And I just thought every single player out there, from Leno to Jimenez, absolutely imperious. Robinson was absolutely brilliant. Like, absolutely brilliant. The link up with Willian, the way he made his overlapping runs, it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And I think that Paulinho, Kenny, the balance they bring, as it was mentioned after the game on the Sky coverage, was perfect as well. This luxury player in TC, and we'll come on to TC and Ream in a bit because they've obviously signed a new contract. How exciting. Paulinho, that last ditch tackle on Saka, big effort. And obviously the conditions, the weather completely changed throughout the whole game. And, the words pathetic fallacy were being bandied around the Hammersmith end as the rain was coming. But actually, I thought it did us more good than Arsenal. And actually, Arsenal were having to sort of trudge through this sort of horrible weather, and we could just sort of sit back and pick them off. And that's actually what we did. We just sat back and picked them off, played them on the break. Our counter-attacking, the way we did it, the timing of it was brilliant. And it came from our first goal, and the second goal obviously came from a set piece. One of the weirdest goals you'll probably see, the amount of deflections it took. Great value for the win. And we got under their skin. Once we were 2-1 up, we didn't panic. There was a couple of times where we failed to clear lines, and there was a couple of times where we were giving the ball away in the final third. But overall, we were getting under their skin. We got that free kick outside the box. Everyone, the fans were brilliant in the second half, really pressurizing the referee, who I actually thought the referee was pretty poor in just his positional play. He was like getting in the way of the game, and he wouldn't let. Like, there was a couple of times,
it nearly led to an Arsenal goal. He barged Iwobi, essentially, not deliberately, of course. Start of the second half, ball runs through to Martinelli, who then curls it just wide, and it's not out of the question that they would have let that goal stand. That would have been 2-1 Arsenal. But I agree, Jack. I thought the atmosphere was fantastic, especially in the second half. Like you said, it's the best it's been this season, I think, by a country mile. Obviously helped by the game itself, but it was still great to see, because obviously we've been mentioning it a few times this season as a negative. It showed that we can be the 12th man and really pull the team across the line. Not that they needed much help, they were fantastic.
Oh, it's just brilliant. Even the subs when they came on, brilliant. I just thought it was one of the most enjoyable Premier League games in a long time. It felt Fulham of old. It felt like Fulham getting that scalp. I mean, is that the first time we've beaten a top 6 team since returning in 2018? It might be.
I suppose we'll give it Chelsea.
Liverpool
in lockdown, but the lockdown ones, I feel like they don't really count because we're not there. Do you know what I mean? I think, Jack, was interesting, and apologies to whoever said it because I can't remember, but it was someone on Twitter when I was reading after the game, and they made a great point about Silva's game management for this one. Because tactically from the off, like we were in the pub, we were maybe especially me, Jack, don't want to throw you under the bus, but I was worried about our midfield, despite being positive about who Arsenal had decided to start with. But as the game went on, and Arteta went to 3 at the back, he started bringing on some more attacking players that all seem to just have like a free role in just behind the 2 strikers of Nketiah and Jesus. Silva went 3 at the back earlier than he normally does in terms of Diop coming on, and that was really interesting because he did that at Everton as well when Everton had just scored to equalise, and it in terms of counter-attacking, it helped us so much. It did not induce more pressure. It actually reduced it. We had suddenly a player on both wings free all the time. It worked brilliantly. And I think that shows the evolution of him as well as a manager, because we've obviously seen that a few weeks ago at Anfield, Tosin was ready to come on, just before Liverpool equalised. I feel like he went a step earlier and was like, we're not going to let them get to that point. An extra man in the box, brace yourself, basically. But the pressure never really came. A couple of corners in injury time, which we dealt with superbly. I mean, we can name every player right now, but we've got to mention Bassi, who won everything. He was an absolute monster. We'll miss him when he's at AFCON alongside Iwobi. Obviously, Fede Ballatore going as well is very useful depth. And we'll come on to the Rotherham game. I'd have loved to see him get a start. That now won't be possible. But we were just fantastic, Jack. And that's to the manager, to the players, to the fans as well. And I want to come on to the Liverpool game very, very briefly, Jack, if you don't mind, because this is what we have to reproduce.
Absolutely.
And we can beat anyone at Craven Cottage if we play like that and if the atmosphere is like that. Tickets at the time of recording for the home game, for season ticket holders, you can get your seat today. I'm sure it'll be packed. I'm happy with the way the club have done it. The away game, this is almost just like a call to arms. But please get a ticket if you can. I understand that not everyone can. I can't make a lot of away games. It's been well documented in the
really?
comments at times. It's tough, but I just think we're in the first ever semi-final. If you can make the game, please do, because we've sold about half the allocation. It's reduced anyway. It's 4,000. I think we need to fill it with Fulham fans and really get behind the team in what's going to be a tough opening match in the two-leg system. We just need to get back with something to play for, and at the Cottage we can beat anyone.
And actually, it's quite interesting because Liverpool played last night against Newcastle, albeit they won the game and absolutely were frightening. But there are a few caveats to that. No Mo Salah, we know that. No Endo.
Yeah.
And Szoboszlai went off with an injury as well.
Yeah.
This is massive. We need every advantage we can get just for that game at Anfield, especially because the way Liverpool started against Newcastle, my life flashed before my eyes. I just thought, my goodness, if we can ride a storm early doors, we might be all right, and we can pick them up on the break as well. Newcastle did that a couple of times. We only did it about a month ago, so well, we didn't do it as such, but we scored 3 goals, and we probably should have got something from the game. That sort of performance can be replicated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I echo Joe's thoughts. If you can make it, if you don't have anything on, just go to Anfield. Just go to Anfield, get the club coach, £17 for a season ticket holder to get there and back, plus so you'll be paying maximum £50 before food and drink. I know it's, we're in a cost of living crisis and it's January, we've just had Christmas, but this is huge. This is Fulham. No, football's not a matter of life or death. It is more important than that. So you really do need to get yourself up there. I'm joking, of course. Am I? I'm not sure. We'll see if we get to Wembley. Right. Rotherham to come. But first, more importantly, no disrespect to the Millers, who, by the way, brilliant draw for them yesterday against Blackburn. They're going quite well now under Liam Richardson, and I'm really praying that they can pull it off and stay in the Championship this season. Tom Cairney, Tim Ream, 12-month contract extensions. They will be here for 10 years. They will be here for 10 years, which means for the first time in, I don't know, ever, testimonials are on the cards for Tim Ream and Tom Cairney. This is incredible. It's so feel good. It's so unlike Fulham. And it sort of points to the stability of where we are right now as a football club. And I have to say, if we were under any other manager, this would not have happened. This is all down to Marco. Marco is intelligent, and he knows what gets fans on side, what's feel good, and what gets squad harmony. And that is players extending contracts, staying, being made captain, longevity. Cairney, Ream, I'm all for it, Joe. How do you feel?
100%. What makes it feel even better is that they're involved. Ream's obviously injured at the moment, but it's not like we're just handing a contract to Cairney sitting on the bench. He's taking the game to Arsenal, getting the wonderful assist for the Jimenez equaliser, and then just putting in a fantastic display in the middle of the pitch. He, other than Polinia, who I think was just phenomenal, and that's no disrespect to Cairney, Cairney was the next best midfielder on that pitch, and that's a midfield that includes Declan Rice and Odegaard. Yeah, exactly. He was fantastic, and he's been fantastic, and so has Ream in this last, in the Premier League season in a bit, but, in general, under Silva, phenomenal since the first game when he played against Middlesbrough at Craven Cottage in the first game when we were back in stadiums at the start of August, first under his reign. It is so feel good, Jack, and it's very well deserved by both of them. Kearney in particular, in terms of he's had opportunities to go. And there was also a time when we didn't know if he would necessarily play for Fulham again. We were discussing in the Telegram, which you can join to talk with other listeners of Fulhamish or other Fulham fans. We were talking about our favourite Kearney moment this morning, and I said, well, other than the obvious, the playoff goals, the final, semi-final against Reading as well the year prior, the famous goal against Leeds last minute, that goal against Cardiff when he came back from injury, and he was almost in tears, and it sounded like so was Gentleman Jim and Jamie Reid. It was just, a fantastic moment, and there was that point when we didn't know if he would play for Fulham again. He'd been injured for so long, it was recurring, it was uncomfortable for him, and he's come back and he's now captaining the team in the Premier League as a starting player and performing well against midfielders that you would expect to be far above our station, not just his, but our station. He's more than matching them, outperforming them at times. And Tim Ream, has obviously been a welcome surprise in how he stepped up to the Premier League at this time of asking. It's been wonderful to see and very well deserved, very feel good, all for it, Jack.
And what's the theme there between those two players? When Tim Ream was casted away and he's brought back in, when Kearney had all those injuries and he was brought back in the belief, Marco Silva.
Yeah.
Marco Silva had belief in them. They're quality players and he brings them back in. I don't think we speak about our manager enough on the Jack and Joe show on a week-by-week basis, but it is quite incredible how good of a manager he is. And for anyone, and I know I mentioned it with Jack last week, who was mentioning over the Christmas period, Marco Silva out, give your heads a good old wobble. I mean, the man is a genius. You sing about it every week, and 3 games on the trot to lose in the Premier League is not unheard of. But we're without Raul Jimenez, and one of those games we were down to 10 men, and a couple of bits of poor defending. That's not down to Marco. That's just down to the individual players on the pitch at that time. But absolutely, no question about it. New contract this season. He's just beaten Arsenal, who are going to go for the title. And he did it in very good style as well. It's not like you say earlier, it was a lucky win. We were more, we deserved to win the game. And let's just quickly talk about the consequences of that win. There was a lot of nervous tension around the cottage at 1-0 Arsenal. I can definitely say that. We would have been on 21 points looking over our shoulder with Luton just 6 points behind us. Now we're 9 points above the relegation zone, up to 13th, 1 point behind Bournemouth, who do have a game in hand. And we're just 4 points off Chelsea, 5 points off Newcastle. I mean, if you put it like that, and we play Chelsea next in the Premier League, we could actually close that gap on Chelsea. So we're 2 points behind them, and that would be brilliant. It would not surprise me whatsoever we went to the bridge and won. Absolutely, I think we could do it.
Well, this is the thing. Play like that, I think we beat anyone. Honestly, we were so hard to break down, and Arsenal are far superior side to Chelsea. I would say on their day, as it stands, I think Arsenal are superior even to Liverpool. Maybe arguable, I'm not sure, but based on last season, for sure. Bit of a break now for the Premier League. Obviously, 2 cup games. No disrespect meant to Rotherham or the FA Cup, but the less important one is first in terms of we're in a semi-final. And a few days before we play Rotherham, we've obviously got the added bonus, as we did against Arsenal, of a couple of extra days rest. As we play on the Friday, Liverpool play on the Sunday. Obviously, we have our cup tie on the Wednesday. I think that for this one, Jack, we need to see wholesale changes as much as possible, purely to prioritise the Liverpool game and also to give some minutes to those that haven't been involved in the squad. For example, in goal, I'm expecting Rodak, if not Bender. One of the two. Right back's interesting because I think that Silva will probably go with Tete against Liverpool in that first leg. He seems to like going with Tete against maybe the more slightly offensive teams, with Sunday being a bit of a a blip for that. But I would expect Castagnier to probably start against Rotherham and then Tete to start against Liverpool. Centre backs obviously will be without Bassi for both legs of the Carabao Cup tie. So You imagine it'll be Tosin and Diop in the Liverpool games, unless Ream's back. But I think for that reason, you go with Diop to get him a bit more action, and also Defougerol as well next to him. Yeah. I'd love to see him start another game, especially at home. Left back, slightly maybe frustrating. We don't have Ballo-Touré now, so I think it has to be Robinson. Unless we brought up someone from the youth team.
If Tim Ream was ready, maybe Tim Ream left back.
Yeah, I'd rather that than Robinson in terms of I don't want to risk Robinson getting injured. Lukic start, Harrison Reed start, and Luke Harris start. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Front three is a bit more tough. Muniz up top, I'd go with. On the wings, Harry Wilson, and potentially Bobby Reed. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's a tough one because we need some quality. We want to get through this game. So we want to have another cup run. I think this team is good enough to beat Rotherham. Yeah. I'm expecting to beat Rotherham, if I'm being honest. And the reason I say that is because I want to see our team do what we did to Ipswich when we played them in the cup. And I would love to see us have those players come in and with a point to prove and get a couple of goals. I'm not expecting an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. But I would, if I'm doing a prediction, I would suggest a 2-0 Fulham win in this one.
It's tricky because Rotherham are bottom of the Championship. They'll obviously be prioritising staying in the Championship this season under Liam Richardson, who's just come in the last couple of games. They're unbeaten in 3. They've beaten Middlesbrough, drawn with Sunderland and drawn with Blackburn over the Christmas period, which is very good return on the fixtures they have. But their next Championship game is not till the 13th, which is, of course, when the Premier League action returns as well. They host Stoke and then obviously go to Middlesbrough and then Ipswich and then Southampton, then Leeds. So I tell you what, they've got a really tricky run.
Yeah.
Hull after that, and then Watford, QPR, and a massive crunch game at the end of February. So their fixture list is ridiculous. They might need some respite by just giving it a go in the cup, and they'll obviously give it a go. It's 90 minutes of football. But will they prioritise the league? Absolutely. But there is a gap. So they can afford to play their strongest team. I'm expecting Fulham to win the game. However, I don't think it's going to be easy at all. I think we'll probably just about sneak it by either 1-0 or 2-1.
Okay.
I do think Rotherham have their threats. And I think that this is not going to be as easy as it sometimes is. I remember turning up to the Cottage in 2015 thinking, God, this will be a nice stroll in the park, Rotherham. And then suddenly we're 1-0 down and Ross McCormack has to bail us out like he did for the millionth time. And yeah. Horrible days.
I mean, it's true. And here's the thing. I would just take a win. Just get through in the cup. Happy days. Don't really care about scoreline. Not too fussed about performance in this one either, if I'm being completely honest. I just want to get through. The big one's Liverpool.
Your head's at Anfield, isn't it? Your head is at Anfield.
Head's already there. Just behind the goal on the left, because that's where I booked the ticket. Happy days.
Guys, just finally, before we go, very, very quickly, it is January transfer window. It's open. Anything could happen. Jay Stansfield's Birmingham City to their sack Wayne Rooney. He's also followed a load of Ipswich Town players on Instagram. I don't know what that means. It could mean something, but just watch this space. There's nothing to really talk about right now, transfer-wise. Andre, maybe. Stansfield, maybe going somewhere. Vinicius, maybe going somewhere. But I'm sure as the days tick on, we head to deadline day, we will be sitting on a stream, hopefully talking about a lot of activity because, well, actually, maybe hopefully not. So we get our business done nice and early, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I would like it to be nicer than last year's stream when we were just still sort of reeling from the fact that like Polina nearly went, and then it was almost like, where's the signings other than Iwobi? Then we stopped the live stream, and suddenly Fode Ballo-Touré came in out of nowhere, which was.
But you have to say it's worked out. It's not. It wasn't a bad window, actually.
Oh no! In hindsight, well, we can almost make another video on this entirely. I don't think it was as bad as I was concerned about. I still think that there were gaps that needed to be filled. With what I see Silva doing with this squad, I think it's a missed opportunity to not be doing even better, put it that way. But in terms of the players that we brought in, very happy, and the players that we kept very happy, I just think there could have been a couple more. And hopefully we can add them this window.
One more thing. One wish from 2024 for Fulham. What would it be?
Win a cup. A cup. I don't mind if it's the Carabao. I don't mind if it's the FA Cup. I want to win something with this team, and I think we're good enough to win something. And I think we've got to prioritise the Carabao.
It's fairly ambitious to say win a cup. I was going to just say get to a Wembley final, but then you might as well
Yeah,
go all the way and win it now. If we were to
yeah.
lose to Chelsea in a Wembley final, I think that would be it for me. I think
Oh my
it's been
God.
like God bless.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'll see you next week. Enjoy the Rotherham game. Enjoy. Oh, I suppose we.
We've got to do a video before it, Jack.
Yeah, we
We've
have
got
to.
We got
Monday. We'll do Monday before,
Yeah.
or maybe even Sunday night, just so we have
Calm
a bit of
before the
leeway.
storm.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Wednesday night, isn't it? The game, isn't it?
Wednesday.
Okay, so Monday could be doable. We will discuss off air as
Yeah.
we never do. We always do it on the video. Thanks so much for watching, Joe. For the first time in 2024. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks a lot, Jack. Thanks everyone for watching. Happy New Year and enjoy the Rotherham game.
Yes. Sergi Reguilon is rejoining Tottenham from Manchester United season-long loan. Boring tables. Enjoy the darts semi-final and the final, and come on Fulham.